Hey, what's going on, guys? Owen Straley, Steelers Depot here, and I'm back today doing a review of Ike Taylor's 2011 game against the New England Patriots. And we're just going to get right into it. So first play here, we're going to take a look. There's two types of cover two. We're going to see here what's called a cover two trap concept. Cover two cloud, the cornerback would jam the receiver, jam him, play him with outside leverage, and funnel him into the safety, where the safety would be waiting over the top. Here's a cover two trap look, which also gives you some good run defense. And you see it where Ryan Clark is going to play more in almost a sort of man on number one, where he's going to be over the top of the receiver, watching him closely. And then Ike Taylor is in what's called a trap coverage, where his first steps are going to be inserting himself into the box and beating the receiver's block before it can get there. Before then, if this was a pass play, Taylor would then dig himself out and get back to the flat. But it's a trap concept because it appears to be a cornerback blitz when it's really cover two. And it can really stifle the run game. So going into the technique of it here, Taylor does a great job of, A, disguising it, waiting till late, but making sure that he gets inside of this crack block from the receiver. Receiver's coming down to crack. Taylor gets inside of it and makes it so that puts the receiver on his back. So if the receiver is going to block him, it's clearly going to be a block in the back. Receiver has to let him go. Taylor ends up getting into the backfield and teaming up with Casey Hampton for a nice tackle in the backfield. Larry Foote with good penetration too. But just beautiful execution of a cover two trap concept from the Steelers here, and just a great call if you want to get your corners involved to shut down the outside run game. Ike Taylor would always shadow your best player all over the field, and against the Patriots, he's going to do exactly that against Wes Welker, who at the time is one of the best receivers in football. So up at the top of the screen here against Wes Welker, comeback, Ike Taylor right in his hip pocket. Does a really good job going into the technique of it. Good job by Ike Taylor of motor pressing out, getting hands on Wes Welker before dropping back down and playing through the pocket with a good finish. But just a good job not allowing separation, staying over the top of him so that he could then react on him. Whereas if Welker gets past him and Ike Taylor has to go into trail mode, then it becomes much harder to break down with a route like this. So good job by Taylor, staying on top, staying in control, and really good finish playing through the hands at the end here. So one aspect about great cornerback play that isn't talked about enough is just how did they play on plays that they weren't targeted. And I think here's a great example of that, where Ike Taylor has Wes Welker in the slot, covering your best receiver all over the field, shadowing them is a tough enough task as is. But great job here where Wes is clearly Brady's number one read. You'll see Brady open and look to Wes Welker and Grant coming over the middle. And Ike does a great job here where lines up in outside leverage, covering Wes out of the slot. It's always good to take away one side and then run to something else. Just keep your leverage, and if you maintain your leverage, you'll have a better idea at reading their keys. So Ike, good job here of allowing Wes Welker an inside release before getting hands on him with outside leverage, covering it from the outside, and being right in his hip pocket to break down and force Brady to throw it away here. So a great mark of a shutdown corner is how good is his coverage consistently throughout a game, not just the plays where he's targeted. And it's these type of plays can have similar value where not even if you weren't targeted, you did take away the number one option. You forced the quarterback to hold it more, and that's the type of stuff that allowed the Steelers to be such a menacing defense rushing the quarterback throughout Ike Taylor's tenure in Pittsburgh. So here, Patriots driving on the verge of the red zone, and continuing with the theme of the game, Ike Taylor is once again following Wes Welker into the slot here. A little bit of a difference is the Steelers are actually using Larry Foote to bracket Wes Welker here. So Ike Taylor is going to play with outside leverage and Larry Foote giving him help to the inside. Wes Welker just showing what great feel he has with Tom Brady here, floating back to the little bit of open space he has after Brady creates a little bit of time with some movement in the pocket, one thing Brady was always a master at. And good job by Ike Taylor here of just staying over the top. It's 1st and 15, and then finishing tackling with violence. And not enough corners really were great tacklers at the time. That's one thing Ike always had, both in run support and in terms of limiting yak after the catch, that's another mark of being a shutdown corner is how do you limit yak after the catch? And I thought Ike was always great at that in terms of being in a good tackling corner. And of course, at the time, all Steelers corners were good tacklers. That was kind of the stapler of the LeBeau defense. But Ike Taylor being able to combine both great man coverage with good tackling is really what made him such a great player. And a big play right here because on this drive, the Pats ended up missing a field goal 2 plays later. So impressive stuff from Mike Taylor here. One thing you always have to be careful with playing the Patriots is their play action deep shots, and that's exactly what Ike Taylor gets here, up at the top of the screen in press man coverage against the outside receiver. And Taylor does a really good job here of just staying with the receiver, getting in the pocket, and breaking this up on what could have been a big game-changing, momentum-changing type of play. And not enough people realize how impressive this really is, where Ike Taylor lines up, is playing with outside leverage, and actually gets beat off the line with a nice inside stem. Doesn't get any hands on the receiver, but is able, just because of his pure speed and athleticism, to hang with the receiver all the way down the field, eventually get back into the window and break up the throw deep downfield. Impressive stuff from Mike Taylor, and really a good game from him, impacting the game in all aspects. We'll take a look at it from the tight here, but really impressive. Just the ability to have the speed to hang with pretty much anyone downfield and cover for Brady extending the play, probably about 6 seconds here. Good breakup from Taylor, and of course his critics would say, oh, well, a good cornerback's going to catch that, but ultimately I think we'll take this over a lot of the Steelers cornerback play we've seen, and nice physical finish there. So last clip here, and impressive one from Ike Taylor. We're going to see him up top in the slot against Wes Welker again. Was following him all day and continues to here. And on 3rd and short, does a really good job of staying in his hip pocket and make a nice tackle at the sticks. So, I mean, this is Wes Welker's bread and butter right here. This is what him and Brady made money on, is just these short out routes. But you see it with Ike Taylor, which was just the ability to, first of all, pressing a slot is extremely difficult, and it's impressive for him to be able to get up and be physical here. He had really quick feet, shuffles out, beats Wes Welker to the spot, gets hands all over him, to where Wes Welker, just the great route runner that he is able to use a little bit of a lean and a slight push off to create enough space. But what you love to see from Ike Taylor, and a lot of DBs get pushed off, might lose some balance here, stays with his balance and continues to fight, ending up making a tackle right at the sticks. Patriots ended up getting the spot, but it's plays like this where it's just, if you're constantly able to compete, you're eventually going to be able to make these plays where maybe next time it's a breakup. But right here, at least you're eliminating yak, you're giving him 2 yards, and you're making the ref make a decision. You're making the ref make a measurement. So impressive stuff from Mike Taylor here, and just more continuing from him as just one of the great corners of his era that really doesn't get enough respect. So let me know in the comments whether you guys liked the video, maybe continue doing a series like this, or maybe if you want to see someone new. So I was thinking maybe continue to look at some Ike Taylor games from 2010, 2011, potentially check out some William Gay film from either then, maybe closer to like 2015, or Brian McFadden potentially, or maybe even Ryan Clark or Troy Polamalu. But just let me know and comment any guys you maybe want to see a breakdown of them in a game from earlier 2010, 2011-ish, and I'll get back to you with the results on that. So again, let me know if you guys enjoyed the video, and hope everyone's staying safe out there. Go Steelers.